Hey, we are back again. We are back again. Your host and your co-host. Number one co-host and number one co-host. So they make two co-hosts. All right, so we're just happy to be back again. I'm just going over the information that Aline Reed has put in front of me. It's going to be a great discussion today. It's going to be a discussion with the Black Agenda Network that I want everybody to know that we're very intentional to discuss Black issues. I think that this city politics has created a narrative that we're not supposed to talk about the illness and the conditions that Black folk are going through here in this city. I think it's too much kumbaya conversation. It's too much marshmallow talk about Black people and the oppression that they're going through here in Mississippi, Fresno, Alabama. So we're very intentional. We're very unapologetic in regards to our position on things. You may agree, you may disagree. It's okay with us. What we want you to do is do critical thinking and do your own research. Right. One thing I can say about Aline, she's an English major and she reads. That's one thing she does is read, and she do research. And after she do her research, she presents it to the community, and then you can take it or leave it or however you want to do it. But before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Aline so she can welcome you to our show.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Harris. Thank you all for tuning in. And Reverend Harris is right. We're very intentional about what we're talking about as it relates to the Black community. I'm looking at a list of Black businesses. Actually, this list was given to me by Reverend Dr. Harris February 20th of 2022. And I took the time to count up this list, and if my numbers are right, there were 163 Black businesses operating in Fresno in the 70s. So some of you will learn about these names. Some of these are doctors like Dr. George Bugg or Dr. Freddie Hayes. Some of you might have had them, as your physician. I know my sisters went to Dr. Freddie Hayes over on the Visadero when they were pregnant with their sons. And so we want to find out today, we're talking about what happened to all these people. What happened to all these businesses? I'm just going to, throw a couple out there like Jericho Cafe. What happened to it? Myers Auto Wrecking. There was George Finley Service Station. Edison Malt Shop. Some of you might remember that. We had not a malt shop, but something similar where you could walk across the street from Edison when I was in high school, and I graduated in 1976. So we want to find out and talk about the fact that these Black businesses have gone the way of the dodo bird. They're gone. They have not been replaced. And what's happening in Southwest Fresno right now? Are we being gentrified? Is the historic Black community languishing and dying right now? And if so, why is that?
One of the things that we have to define, I think that we have to define is what is a community? What does that look like? What is the makeup of it? I guess I'm being sarcastic right now. Do a community have trees? Do a community have sidewalks? Do a community have curbs and gutters? Do a community, do communities have packing houses in them?
Or clean groundwater?
Groundwater, are parks made into, the dumps turn into parks, and your children are playing on these types of toxic land. You know, why would a city allow a dump to be turned into a park and then turn around and name it after Mayor Floyd Hyde? It was Floyd Hyde, right? Floyd Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And you know, these are the things that we here in Fresno have been dealing with. Not just us, but Aline grandmother, my grandmother, my auntie, Precious Widow, all of them, Hunt's Cafe. You know, we have been dealing with a monster here in this city.
That's right.
And you know, West Fresno, where those will say, "Oh well, West Fresno is not black anymore; it's Latino," but it's a historical piece.
Exactly.
Right? And when it's something that's historical, you just don't throw it away and act like it doesn't have no value, it doesn't mean anything, or anything like that. We want to be able to respect everyone's culture. I don't believe that's happening here in Fresno. We want to be able to respect other ethnic, historical land pieces that's in their community. Street names, could be buildings, could be whatever. And so a lot of that has happened here in Fresno. And I know that, you know, what's happening to us here, as Aline said, gentrification is happening in Oakland, it's happening in San Francisco, it's happening all over the world. But, you know, I had asked Aline today to bring this this information here, and so one of the things that we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be setting up a TV system in here where we could, and you know, it could be a chalkboard one day. You know, we set up the studio in different types of formats so that, you know, it's not about just us coming on here talking,
right,
but it's us coming up here talking, but writing down, showing you information, showing you documentaries and different things like that, so that you can go back and do your own research. So this is a very educational network, Black Agenda Network, because we want you to think. We want you to think.
And then we want you to act.
Think and act, yeah. And so I would like to, if I can, give some framework around our discussion. One of the books that I've given Aline to read, and maybe she can go ahead and show these here while I pull this up.
This first book is called Without Sanctuary, and it's a photographic history of lynching in America. That's the first one. And the second one is called Farming While Black. And both of these books were very telling to me. I'm not gonna lie, this Without Sanctuary really messed up my head. And I wanna have it in my book collection, but to see the depravity of the people who were treating lynchings like a sideshow, bringing their wives and their children, burning black bodies, mutilating black bodies, taking fingers and toes and ears as souvenirs, if you will. And a lot of this was done with the AOK, the okie doke of law enforcement. And just think about the 3 voting rights workers who were killed in Alabama. I think it was Mississippi. Cheney, Werner, and oh my goodness, I can't remember the other guys. Oh, Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner. Thank you. These are the kind of atrocities that we've lived through as a people. And just think about it. You know, we are encouraging people to get out and vote. If you look at Agenda 2025, that the Trump administration is circulating, you will see that black people, brown people, LGBTQ plus people are going to be marginalized. They want to wipe out the Department of Education. So we're talking about them being very intentional. And it's the same about farming while black. There was a lawsuit that was brought against the USDA for the malfeasance that they had against black farmers, from not okaying loans for them to expand or to establish farms, selling them seed that was not productive, selling them bad seed and then not reimbursing them. And so we have a lot to talk about on the Black Agenda Network. And one of the things that Reverend Dr. Harris and I want to do is connect the dots, because everything is political, viewers. Everything is political. So when we say go vote, we're talking about the blood that has been spilled and the lives taken that give you the right to do that. And so we want to be a good example for our children and our grandchildren. I was alive. I was a young girl in 1964 when they passed the Voting Rights Act. And so it's not that long ago where these rights and privileges, if you will, of citizens can be taken away. So don't think that it can't happen. That rally that 45 had at Madison Square Garden, where people are likening it to the American Nazi Party, that's no accident. That's very intentional on their part to let you know where they're coming from. So we're saying all this to say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Exactly. There's so much to talk about and discuss on the Black Agenda Network. But what I wanted to do, I wish we had our TV system set up. We'll have it set up next week. I want to play something here, and I hope it's loud enough. I don't have an external speaker, but I'm gonna cut it up loud as I can, if I will. And I just, best you can go to my Facebook wall right now, and you can see this brother talking. And what basically, he's talking about black and beautiful. Here are lies told by white supremacy. And I wish I would have had my external speaker. But anyway, we're going to play this, and I'm going to go to the book, and then we're going to go talk about Black Wall Street and Fresno in comparison to here. So let me go ahead and play this, and I hope that you can hear it. But go to my Facebook wall. He's an African-American man with a white beard with glasses on. And he is saying some heavy, heavy stuff here. So here we go.
Now's the time to be thinking about what this brother's saying.
I've been listening to him all day.
It's important to think about these things. Some people don't want to take on the hard stuff, but if we don't take on the hard stuff today, that means our children and grandchildren are going to have to take it on later. And if our ancestors could survive being enslaved and discriminated against for 400 years, I think we can stand learning about what we need to do to thrive.
Right.
Here we go.
So here we go. I'm gonna, man, I wish I had my external speaker, but anyway, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn this around and I'm gonna enlarge the screen, but go to my Facebook wall, 'cause I just reposted it. And what I want you to do is listen to the context and the content and the words of what he's talking about. And do some critical thinking about now, and then start thinking about our ancestors and think about where we are at today. All right? So here we go.
I mean, imagine You go all around the world and smash up everything that other civilizations built, loot what they built, pillage, steal, even steal their ideas and their concepts and their philosophies, and then you sit on top of this mountain of stolen goods and declare yourself to be rich because of your own merit. And imagine telling this lie to your children, to your own children, to your grandchildren, generation after generation. How do you think that's going to go? You didn't invest in creating actual merit. You cheated, you lied, you stole, you brutalized, and then you tell your own people that everyone else in the world has nothing and you have everything because of how much better you are than everyone else. How long is that lie sustainable? I mean, these are people who actually have civilizations, who actually created and built and accomplished and didn't just pillage and plunder. And there's still those people today, even though you have oppressed them, there's still those same people. And you're still the way you are. I mean, a good example actually is African Americans. I don't know if you can think of a people who were more held back, more deprived, more sabotaged than African Americans. You took everything away from them and took them away from everything. They started in your country at less than zero, literally regarded and treated as subhuman, not allowed to learn to read or write or anything for hundreds of years. But you see, they come from a people of accomplishment to one degree or another. Not a people of piracy and theft and appropriation. They come from a people who created and built and developed in their own countries, in their own land. And even though you did everything that you could possibly do to suppress them, to hold them down, to hold them back, and you're still doing that until today, nevertheless, I don't think anyone can dispute the fact that African Americans have become a global cultural superpower. And people like this, with a history like this, with a legacy like this, simply cannot be held back for any length of time by a people who do not have a similar history, people who have never actually invested in their own civilizational development. And that's the West. You're going to get left behind. You're going to get surpassed, and you are going to end up being nothing more than a footnote in history.
That's true.
Okay, so what do you think about that, Aline?
He makes an excellent point, Rev, because if you are building your civilization on a lie, that lie is only going to be sustainable for a certain finite amount of time, and everybody knows that by 2050, maybe by 2035, people of color on this planet are going to outnumber what is known as Caucasian or white people. And then what? And right now, even now, only 1% of the Caucasians are running and have great wealth in the world. And then you have other people who are coming up like China, who are building infrastructure in Africa. Makes you wonder, what are they doing over there? But anyway, he makes an excellent point, Rev, and he reminded me so much of Brother Kehinde Sawalzi, who was always drumming and teaching about the fact that black people, that Africa is the cradle of civilization. And so when I say things like Eve was a black woman, that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the historic Eve. I'm not talking about the Eve that's been whitewashed. I'm talking about the real deal. And so the brother makes a very good point, and what an uplifting message that is. For our children to know that our history did not start with chattel slavery in this country. Did not start with chattel slavery, did not end with chattel slavery, that we are still evolving. I mean, all you have to do is look at hip hop that started with nothing in the late 70s, was a regional kind of thing in New York, and now hip hop is all over the world. And I'm not a hip hop connoisseur. Rev probably knows more about that with his DJ skills, but there's all kind of hip hop. I didn't know, there's more than just gangster rap and, cussing out the police and all of that. I mean, I remember the Sugar Hill Gang, so that's how far back I'm going. Let's let y'all know where I'm coming from. But the brother makes an excellent point, Rev, that black people cannot be kept down. Black people are the start of civilization as we know it. And it's the same when people are talking about the Aztecs and the Mayans. You know, I mean, but it all started in Mother Africa. People need to understand that.
Right. And, you know, I hope everyone heard what the brother was saying. And it's deep.
It really, really is. Because, so what is he saying? That people who don't create anything, people who are parasites, can only maintain that for so long before, you know, the host is going to get tired and move on, and then the parasite is what? Going to die.
Exactly. This book that Aline read, our co-host, is called Without Sanction. Try your best to purchase this book. Go on Amazon. I think I got this off of Amazon because I'm building my own library, right? And you can already see the first page is a lynching of a black man being burnt to death with a rally in some city in America. I don't even know what city it was, but he's being burned alive. You know how you go and you barbecue chicken and ribs, or if you eat that or not, or whatever, or pork, how you get the coals and stuff ready and put the lighter fluid on it. Well, that's what this is happening right. Here's a barbecue, a black man being barbecued. Okay, and so we cannot forget about this type of stuff. We cannot forget about our ancestors being lynched here in America. You know, there are postcards of white people posing next to a dead body, a dead carcass, right? I mean, the pictures in here are just so profound, being hung by a tree, right?
It messed me up. I'm gonna tell y'all, make sure that you are grounded spiritually. I mean, I believe that I am, but it took a lot. I had this book for a long time, and I'm not one to keep somebody's reading material, but that's how long it took me to be able to get through the book.
Right. And here are white men here on a horse with guns, ready to go lynch another black man. Just posing like they have nothing better to do, like it's the right thing to go and lynch. And don't think that lynching has went away. It's still here. We have another picture by a railroad station of a black man being hung off of a streetlight post. You know, so you said, well, Dr. Harris, you know, one more hanging over a bridge, over a river. You know, this was somebody's husband or somebody's brother.
And remember, what was it, a year or two ago, that somebody helped place a noose over an overpass that they were building a high-speed rail in North Fresno, I believe. And that is a signal. That is a warning. An empty noose is telling you where these people are coming from. And so lynchings are still going on today. In fact, I believe the brother's name was Michael Donald, who was dragged to death in Texas, and his mother sued the KKK, who was responsible for his murder and mutilation, and broke the back financially of the KKK. Now, the KKK is now having a resurgence because of all the vitriol and hate spewing that's going on with 45 and all his minions. Because think about it, if he is returned to the White House, who is going to benefit from that? Will you benefit? Will your children benefit? Will the elders in your community benefit? Who's going to benefit from that? You know, we need to think about these things. It's the same thing that is going on in Palestine. That's the same thing that's going to be happening in America, because certain groups are going to be wiped out, herded up, put on reservations and internment camps.
You know, back to the framework of what we were talking about with Greenwood, which was just really heartbreaking to see how black people built over 35 cities after slavery. And those cities were supposed to be passed down to us today. But all those cities were burnt down by the U.S. government and the Ku Klux Klan, which was operating within the U.S. government, which is still operating the U.S. government today in 2024.
Believe it.
And I just can't imagine the hard work that our ancestors day in and day out building their house. You remember when your father, he told me in some stories how they built your mom's house and the house that y'all lived. That was a lot of work to do.
A lot of work. And that's after he went and was working full time.
Yeah. And then to turn around to have some white folk that live across the track. Because remember, the railroad track always divided the white and the black. Well, in 1921, you know, they wouldn't allow us to have a police department. The white folk could have a police department, and they would come over and police our community, right? Like they didn't have nothing better else to do. And so, you know, they would come over and patrol our neighborhood in Tulsa, and then all of a sudden, you know, something happened, and, you know, but before I say that, we had stores, movie theaters, we had
Banks.
You know, I'm reading this, and I'm gonna post this on my Facebook and on the show when the show is over. I'm just gonna read a little bit of this. It says all 35 city blocks of Greenwood District was completely destroyed. The Red Cross reported that 1,256 homes and 191 businesses were destroyed, and 10,000 black people were left homeless.
10,000.
And it's believed that as many as 300 people were killed, according to the Tulsa Historical Society Museum. Survivors were left with nothing after their homes were looted, and $2.7 million in insurance claims were denied, according to a 2001 State Historical Commission report. Another research report out of Harvard University, Harvard University, that in 2020, total financial loss were between $50 and $100 million.
Wow.
For decades to follow accounts of what happened in that summer of 1921 would remain largely unknown. So I hear people talk about how blacks are lazy. Pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Why are you whining? Well, here's the reason why we're whining. Is because our ancestors built cities. Our ancestors built empires. All that trickled down within our DNA. That's how we were able to build cities. But then when you have another group of ethnic people just decide because they don't like our skin color or they don't like how we're living better than them, they just decide to come and destroy everything we had, and then denied all of the insurance claims, and then left. I mean, we deal with homelessness here in Fresno.
We do.
And then the U.S. government at that time, our ancestors started fighting back and was winning. And then the U.S. government at that time deputized kids. A kid, 6, 7, 8, told them go shoot blacks on sight, go loot their house. So I have a problem out here. People, oh, look at the looters, they're looting this and they looting that. They've been looting our houses for over 400 years.
Come on, tell it. It's true. and Greenwood, if I remember right, didn't they get bombed from the air? It was one of the few incidents where a bomb was dropped on Greenwood, the same way a bomb was dropped in Philadelphia under
the move.
Yes, the movement in Philadelphia. So we're not making these things up. These are things that you could go and check out for yourself to understand what it is that we're talking about. How is it that whatever we build gets torn down, minimized, or held back? And that means we have to start all over. You got to start all over again. You know, something is destroyed, well, you got to start all over again. Think about the wages that were paid to black people, especially if they were shoe shine men or housemaids, housekeepers, you know, laundresses, these kind of jobs that don't pay a lot of money. And remember, FDR, we're talking about the great, you know, person that saved us in the Great Depression, made it where those businesses, those people who did that kind of work could not claim Social Security. So that was intentional on his part.
So I'm gonna say this to our listening audience because, you know, the Western European school system is really just a gimmick to me. I don't believe in it. I don't, because it doesn't teach truth. When you said for years that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and we know he didn't, but you put that in your textbook. You put that as a test question, right, to our children. So you teach them false, right? But let me get back to the bombing piece. You're correct. When our ancestors say, you know what, enough is enough, we're going to fight back because we're being messed over, then that's when the U.S. government, when they got some planes and started dropping nitroglycerin bombs on top of the churches, the homes, our people, they deputized children to shoot our ancestors on sight. Those communities must be passed down to us today.
How much further ahead would we be?
How much further ahead will we be, right? And no one talks about that concept. Well, it don't make no. Why don't it make no difference? Because white folk got all these farms in America, which a lot of the land was given to black people.
Come on with it.
Some listen. All the white folk was not racist. Okay, some of them really cared. They didn't even like their own people for what they did to black people. So I'll never say all white people was racist because that's false, right? It was a lot of majority of them, but all of them was not racist. They gave land to slaves.
Yes, they did.
After slavery, they were so generous. They knew it was illegal. See, there was a time when it was illegal for black people to read.
Yes.
Illegal. So illegal means like going to rob a store or a bank. That's illegal. You can't do that. So it was just on the same platform. It was illegal for black people, and white people was sneaking, teaching young black men and young black women how to read. And some of them got caught and got beat, and some of them got killed too for teaching blacks how to read. Now, the land piece, after land was given to our ancestors to do what? To be self-sufficient.
Be self-sufficient. It was an agrarian country. And you had to have land in order to feed your family, to make a profit, and things like that. I mean, my maternal grandfather was a sharecropper in Texas. And we still have land in Texas. We were lucky in that way. But the thing is that Reverend Harris, what he's talking about is the fact that some of those ex-slaves were run off their land, intimidated to the point where they had to abandon their land. And what happened? It got sold. It got sold.
You talked about the USDA about about the seed, all that conversation. I'm gonna add some more to that because I had went to anywhere I go, as a civil rights leader, I research where I'm going before I get there because I want to know what I'm walking into. And I was able to research Mississippi around the West Point area, and I found out in my research that a lot of our ancestors, because if you go to the South, the Mississippi River runs through different states,
Yes, it
right?
does.
It'll run through New Orleans, and it'll come back down, it'll wiggle around, and what have you. I mean, the Mississippi River goes behind Southern University State, where my son graduated from. So I actually seen the river, right? That we call the Mississippi River. Well, our ancestors was given land to farm right up to that Mississippi River. I don't want you to believe me or believe Aline. Go research it yourself. And so when the slave owners gave land to our ancestors, they were trying to do right, and we thank them for that. But what happened was the same people who started the USDA was the same people who would not give out land loans to our people to work their land so that they could pay the taxes on their land.
Come on.
That's what the big lawsuit was about with the African American farmers and the USDA. And it's still fighting today
Still fighting
about how we were treated and how we were misguided and how we were treated unequally because the way America is, the structure of it now, if you don't pay your taxes on your land or house or whatever you have, the county assessor come in and put a lien on it, and you would lose your. Now you can pay your house off. That's great, but you still have to pay taxes on that land. So what they did was the Ku Klux Klan. Research this yourself.
Come on.
Is the USDA.
Hello.
The Ku Klux Klan, the same government that y'all love and salute the flag and all that crap, was the same people who was the USDA and refused to give. And there's speeches about Dr. King talking to me.
Yes.
They talk about it a lot.
Yes.
I don't have time to pull it up now, but you can research Dr. King and he'll tell you.
He'll tell you.
He'll say they was giving land to their white counterparts, but would not give loans and land to black people.
Hello.
Dr. King said that. He's seen it, right? And what happened was the same people who wouldn't give them low interest loans took the land and then went back and bought it.
See?
Now, I don't know how criminal that is to not give the loan, take the loan, take the land, and then go back and purchase the land that you wouldn't give a loan. So this is the stuff that we've been dealing with and still dealing with today. We talk about institutionalized racism, systemic racism.
That's it.
Systemic racism, and it's just...
It's exhausting. And I know a lot of you might not want to have to deal with it. But the thing is that we have to deal with it, because if we don't deal with it, that means our children and our grandchildren and generations down the line are going to have to continue this fight. So we can't not lose heart. We've gotten this far by faith. God has been with our people, that we were not wiped out, that we are still here fighting the good fight, and we are not going away. Because we know, as a righteous people, that our cause is just. Our cause is just.
TJ was writing on the post. He said that the bombing nitroglycerin bombs that they dropped on our churches and our people, he was saying that those were private planes. Private planes. So
Okay.
we know the government hand was in it and private folks as well. But it's just unjust, and it's very hard
Thank you, Chief.
to build something from the get-go and then turn around and have it torn up, and then you want to go back and rebuild it, but it was torn up on an injustice, on racism. Then you didn't give no reparations.
No insurance.
And then you denied the insurance claim. So how is it that black people, and when I hear people talk about pull yourself up from the bootstraps, they see another side of me. I tell you, I go off because I'm saying the hell that we have been through, our people. And I look, just in Fresno County, I look at all these farms that's ran by white folk. Capitalism, big ag.
Big ag.
Right? What you said, 60?
$6 billion.
$6 billion of ag just in the San Joaquin Valley. $6 billion. And black folk ain't got none of it. And it ain't that we don't try. It's because there's barriers there, right, that continue to stop us from buying. I tried to buy some land. I got blocked. You know, just straight up blocked. And it's criminal.
It is criminal. And this is what we're talking about, folks, that if you want to build generational wealth, you have to have a starting place. Generational wealth is just that, built on generations. Built on generations. And so, you know, we have somebody in a tight race for the presidency who has lost $700 million with his own personal negligence, who wants to run the country. Think about what he's going to do to your bank account and your communities if he gets back in. But black businesses, we've done everything that's been asked of us. We built our own colleges. We built our own schools. You know, and in Fresno, we had 163 businesses in West Fresno and downtown. And what happened to all of those? You know, we're not just pulling this out of thin air. These were black businesses.
You know, a lot of folk know me as to have my finger on the pulse of what happens here in this city as well as the valley. And a lot of you know I ran for mayor. Aline was a big part of the campaign, and a lot of other people, Tony may rest in peace, and Maria and everyone, our kids, our Freedom School kids, and you know, it was really to show our people that it's important.
What's important?
That you could run for the highest seat of a city, but you got to have heart. Now, we know you need money, but you got to have heart. And, you know, our own ex-chief of police, now as our mayor, refused to debate me on stage, right? And I always wondered why. Why, if you have all this money, you have bought off a lot of black people, a lot of black preachers, a lot of black organizations. I'm just an old goat. Why would you be intimidated about me, right? But what it is, he know my fingers on the pulse. The people listen when I speak. Some agree, some don't agree, and that's fine. But it's critical thinking that we're all trying to get you to do. Now, across the world, there's black cities, ghettos that white folks created. We didn't create the ghetto, they did. And there's a book that talks about that. I'm gonna find that book. And it's always the black community. And then they take freeways to come right down the middle of the black community and start cutting off access.
Yep.
That's what happened to West Fresno.
That's what happened to West Fresno.
Brought 99 through and just started
Decimating.
chopping off
Yep.
access to our community. And then after that, they created something called redevelopment.
Redevelopment in the 70s, that's right. You had to bring your house up to code. You had to do all these things to make your house livable, even though you're already living in it. And if you could not do that, well, then your house could get condemned and your house could get taken away. And this is what happened. I'm not saying this is what happened to the black businesses, but this is what happened to a lot of houses on my street. I know this for a fact because a lot of those families were people that I went to school with. So redevelopment was a thorn in the side of many black residents in Southwest Fresno and West Fresno. And then of course we had the rendering plants making it a highly industrial area that, you know, the stench and the air pollution and all of that. So right now we're being gentrified. So these black businesses were pushed out, not replaced. And I mean, back in those days, we had the only thing that we did not have, if you're not counting Chinatown as part of West Fresno, is movie theaters. I don't remember that as a child, but everything else, beauty parlors, gas stations, well, churches are not on this list because, you know, they're nonprofit, they're not a church, not a business, but there were a lot of churches. You could stay in your own community and spend your money. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, about the black dollar leaves the black community after 6 hours. 6 hours, and then it leaves our community and is spent somewhere else. So a community is someplace that you don't have to venture out in order to get your needs taken care of. You know, you're able to walk to the grocery store and buy fresh fruits and vegetables. It took 20 years for us to get a big box grocery store in Southwest Fresno, in West Fresno. And that was a big fight with Miser Kills and Hank Hendricks and a lot of other people who were involved in that. So in Fresno, somehow a lot of money gets siphoned off from our part of the city, and that's one of the things that he was trying to bring forward last week. If you haven't had a chance to attend any HEAT meetings, check them out. They meet, I believe it's the second Saturday at the Larry Burris offices over there by 99 and Weber. But it's hard when you have to keep recreating the wheel. And what are we teaching our children? This is why so many of us just give up. But we can't afford to do that. We owe it to our ancestors, we owe it to ourselves and our children to say we will never give up. We will continue to fight for our communities. And Reverend Harris is a very good person to talk about these things because he's been in the fight ever since I've known him. Ever since I've known him, he's been in this fight.
Well,
and it's a very unpopular fight at that.
Correct. It says the lifespan of a dollar in the black community leaves within 6 hours compared to 20 days in the Jewish community and 30 days in the Asian community. So what that is saying to me is that these businesses here, there was no way that these businesses could have stood up and supported itself if black people wasn't patronizing them.
That's right.
But when redevelopment was created, they intentionally wiped out the economic movement of sustainability in the black community and came in and used eminent domain we're gonna take this land and you can go build somewhere else, and it never happened.
Never happened.
And that's happening all over the country, gentrification and all of that.
That's right.
And Aline, did you read some of the businesses that were on here?
I did, and I'm going to continue. Some of y'all might remember Mr. Fro's Barbershop that was on Fresno Street. I think Jazzy G's and Things is one that survived in a different location. Carson Hotel, Marcus Pharmacy, which is now Zach's Market, and is owned by I don't know, some Middle Eastern folks. Dr. Noel Smith, O'Neill's Barbershop, Grapevine Magazine, West Care Medical Center, Holiday Inn, C Street Market, Boys Market, no, not Boys Market, but C Street Market, Graves Upholstery are still in business, and the Graves do a wonderful job. Jackson Trucking, Kearney Boulevard Market, George Finley Service Station, let me see, Hunt's Cafe, and I need to just say a couple of words about our sister, Barbara Hunt, who is no longer with us. Barbara Hunt was a warrior when it came to West Fresno, and she was mocked because she was always at city council meetings speaking up for the community. But the truth of the matter is that everything that Barbara said was true. And her area of West Fresno is being gentrified right now with that Fresno City College West campus that faces Church Avenue. They're building 4 lanes streets all around that, where there are 2 lanes now. So you've got the Silver Dollar Cafe, you've got Joe and Oliver's Service Station, you've got Howard O'Blennis's Auto Sales, you've got Wanda's Dry Cleaners, you've got Lavera's Nursery School, and she is still in existence. Wow, Walnut Avenue Cleaners, Sunset Market is still there. I don't believe it's owned by black people anymore. Snow White Drive-In, I remember going to Snow White after church. Grace Liquors, Jim Lett's Club, the 41 Club, Roger Wilson's Grocery, Ruby's Queen Castle Beauty Salon, the American Legion is still there. The Legion is still there. But how many are gone? Sunset Drive-In is gone. Atwater Construction, Brown Shoe Shine. So we're talking 163 businesses, and of that, there might be 10 or less that are still left.
So Aline, we have about 5 minutes left, and I like to talk about strategy and solutions. We know what has happened to us. We know this has been intentional. It's still happening to us. Gentrification is coming in. It's hard for blacks to get loans for businesses. I mean, if you was to take just 10 churches and go up to a bank and say, we're going to take our Sunday money and open up an account here and put it in your bank. Because what's happening is grandma, who's been going to a church for 67 years and putting $50 in it every Sunday for 60 years, that's a nice little change. And then that church takes grandma money with everyone else's money and go put it in a white bank. That white bank ain't giving nothing back to the church or small businesses in our community, but taking that money and giving it to other folk.
That's right.
To make money off of our money, and we're getting nothing back. It's like our vote is powerful, our money is powerful, right? But what we have to, somehow, some way, we have to teach our people, because we're creative. We come from the best of best. We come from kings and queens. We come from people who have built pyramids. We come from people who have created mathematics and algebra and geometry. Our black people did that, okay? If you didn't know, so just keep it 1 eye. All right, and then, so if they did that, and we created, I was reading Aline on Facebook that a black man created a machine gun.
Wow.
A machine gun.
Wow. I didn't know
And
that.
I'll send it to and they took it from him. He never got paid for it.
Wow.
They took the pattern from him. There's so many things that black people have created in this country that the and we'll have a show about black inventions one day, and you'll see about all the inventions that and we're just gonna go down the line.
Go down the line.
So you can't say that we are lazy people. If we are lazy, we learned it from you. Is that right? We learned it from you.
Come on with it, because that's the truth.
We learned our diet from you.
Yes.
That's why we sick.
Yeah.
Eating all the wrong foods
Eating the wrong
and
food.
all of that. And so I just think right now we have to come together as a people and find.
And how do we do that, Rev?
It's like this table right here. You just put chairs around it. To me, it's simple. You put chairs around it. You get these brilliant brains of black kings and queens. You get a pen and paper and you say, okay, well, who knows accounting? You do? Okay, well, you're our accountant. Okay. Who know how to do bookkeeping? You know? Okay, you do bookkeeping. Okay. Who's the CPA? Oh, you know how to do CPA? Okay, you the CPA.
See.
All right. So what business you want to start? Well, I can tell you a business right now. We can start right now, today, tonight. That's changing tires, fixing tires. We don't have a black tire shop nowhere here that I know of, from Bakersfield all the way down to Stockton.
That is true.
2 hours both ways. We don't even, but yet black people drive cars every day.
Every day.
So if we could just sit down and leave your ego at the door and understand that there's a bigger picture here.
Yes, and trust.
Right?
Trust your brother and sister.
Do for self or be a slave. Then we will understand we can rebuild our Black Wall Street and our own economic movement again. But tell the 10 pastors, you tell your congregation and the people in your neighborhood, go to this tire shop and get their tires changed.
That's right. No matter where you live in the city,
okay,
you go to that tire shop.
That's
to get
how.
your tires.
That's how we can start jobs. That's how we can create jobs.
Absolutely.
That's how we're rebuilding our Black Wall Street in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
But getting people to sit down at the table.
See. You know, and we've been taught not to trust one another. You have got to have trust and believe that it's doable. You know, in District 3, I believe it's in District 3, they are starting a community kitchen for street vendors. Community kitchen means everybody can use it. So they have all this room, and you go there, you use what you're going to use, cook your food, go sell your food. You've met all the requirements with permits and so forth. Black people, go to this community kitchen. You don't have to just do a cottage industry at your house no more. You don't have to. There are opportunities, but we have to pull together. If we don't stand together, we are surely going to fall apart.
Well, that's it, folks. Here this evening, you with the Black Agenda Network, host Dr. Harris, co-host Aline Reed. We're just coming freestyling tonight. We're freestyling. Aline said, well, what are we going to talk about? So let's just freestyle, you know? You know how rappers do it, you know? They don't need no music. They just freestyle, you know?
That's it, y'all.
You know, bobble your head and all that, okay? You know, so we just freestyling tonight to have a little fun. It's been a long day for me, and I know it's been a long day for Aline.
It's been a long day.
You know, we're just trying our best while the blood is running through our veins. We're not saying we have all the answers. We're not saying that. What we're saying is we want you to do critical thinking and learn how to work together, trust one another, come up with your brilliant ideas, patronize black folks' businesses. Because I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm not mad at them. I really not. And I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna close the show. Every other ethnic is patronizing their own people, but black folk. They are.
This is critical.
When the Asian community do their Hmong New Year, I think that's what it's called. That ain't for black people. It ain't for black people. Now, you can go
And spend your money.
and spend your money because they love that money, but it ain't for you. They'd like you to come. And I'm not telling you not to go. I'm telling you that their community has been taught to patronize themselves. Same way with our Latino community.
Yes.
I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them. They teach their community to patronize within their community. The Arab community, they done came in West Fresno and bought every grocery store, convenience store, gas station, right in the hood.
In the hood.
We've been here 100 years and not one black person owned not one gas station today. On this paper here, there was my father had Floyd Exxon on Jensen and Fig right there back in the 70s, right? You know, Jazzy G, he owned George Phillium. But today, we ain't own not one gas station nowhere here where our grandparents paid their taxes, was here raising their children. We don't have anything here, right? So my point is, but when it comes to us, we have to teach our people the same as what the other ethnics are teaching their people. Don't tell me I'm talking race talk. No. How's I'm talking race talk when other communities are handling the business in their own community? That's what you're supposed to do.
Don't be afraid to support your own people.
Now, the Arabs, if I got their name right, they were the, forget what it's called.
I'm not sure what it's called, turban, but...
Turban, that's what it's called. You can go to DMV every day on North Avenue at the commercial truck. They done came here, they done built their temples.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at them. They done came here, they done opened up truck schools for their people. I ain't mad at them. They going out buying brand new trucks, brand new trailers, getting contracts. I ain't mad at them. Because we can do the same thing.
If we
but when you have people talking to you, oh, well, you know, you just can't do that for black people. You got to do it for all people. All people ain't doing that stuff for us. They really don't even care. What's the sister does the homeless stuff? What's her name?
Des Martinez.
She told you how many black people homeless?
In the state of California, 72% of California homeless are black. 72%.
72% of California, is a big state, is black people. We're not even going to talk about how many blacks are in prison.
No.
Huh?
No.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. We ain't talking about that.
But let me say this and we're going to close. I've been driving down 99 and I see these brand new trucks pull over. And then I see a car come right behind it. I'm slowing down, I'm looking. I see two people get out of this brand new truck with suitcases and bags. I see two people that drove up behind the car, they got suitcases and bags. You know what they did? They switched vehicles.
Wow.
The Arabs has an agenda, and that's economics, to build economic wealth in their own community. That truck never stops moving. You fill it up with gas, one drive, one sleep, you go to New York, you drop the trailer, you get paid, cash on delivery, you grab another trailer, you bring it back to California. As soon as you get down 99, you stop and you change people.
That's how you make the money. That's how you do it. We can do that.
It's simple. they done went and opened up their own drug testing. I ain't mad at them. That's what you're supposed to do. But for the life of me, black people, stop being jealous and envy and non-trustworthy with your people, because you're going to die on the vine, because everybody in this city is advancing but us.
Don't let it be crabs in a barrel where one or two of you will get ahead and you think that that's good. That is not good. Everybody needs to rise. Nobody is free until we're all free.
And with that, we're going to say good night to y'all. I hope you all liked our show tonight. We'll be uploading it to YouTube and getting ready for our next show next week. And,
Yes.
Brother Tony Sign over there, I got to go back to his shows and write down what he used to say at the end of his show. But one thing I do remember that he said, I'll holler.
Stay black till we get back with you.
All right.
All right, y'all.